What's next for Mario Kart? For the longest time, each new Mario Kart made sense. Add some new items, introduce a new gameplay twist, give Luigi a death stare. But now we have Mario Kart World, and where do you go from this? What I want to do is go over what we could see in 1, 5, and 10 years using realistic predictions based on what we already know. No baseless leaks. Right now, Mario Kart World is one of the best games you can pick up on the Switch too. Looking forward 1 year, it will have faded into just that Mario Kart game that new customers have to pick up, and less of a hype new thing like it is at the moment. It's a dim future, and Nintendo knows it. They're going to do everything in their power to prevent this from happening. And to do so, they're going to use what they learned from their previous magnum opus. Mario Kart 8 had a lot of firsts for the series, but most importantly, it was the first to add significant content after the game came out. Mostly significant. The first free update we got was 200cc, which was actually 215cc faster than 150, and made the game genuinely difficult, creating a whole new level of competitive gameplay that simply didn't exist before. For the first time ever, you had to use the brakes. But Nintendo didn't just do free updates. We got 16 new races, 6 new characters, and a bunch of Mii costumes as paid DLC. We also got double items and a massive overhaul to Battle Mode with 8 Deluxe. After about 8 years, the game had gotten stale, so they added 48 new and returning tracks in the Booster Course Pass, while also adding custom items, a music mode, and even more characters. This all paints a pretty clear picture. Mario Kart gets DLC, and the important thing for Nintendo is that it's hugely successful at keeping interest in the game. Thanks to this little diversion, we now know exactly how to predict what's to come in the next year of Mario Kart, and it all starts with adding 200cc to Mario Kart World is obviously a no-brainer, but for more reasons than you think. Of course, it would add some challenge for seasoned players, allowing for even crazier shortcuts and tricks in what is already the most technical game in the franchise. But this wouldn't just be for the pros, and would actually solve a serious problem many players have. Before World even released, one issue stuck out like a sore thumb. The long straight roads are kind of boring. What makes Mario Kart fun is the fast-paced action, and that's a lot harder to have when you're barely even steering the cars. It's become so much of an issue that players actively vote against races with these intermission roads online, and choose to only race on the main tracks. I'm not saying 200cc could fix this entirely, but it would certainly help. 150cc feels super slow on these roads because they're just so big, and adding this much speed would seriously shake up the gameplay. We're basically guaranteed to get new speed modes as a free update, not just because it was innate, and not because I said so, because he said so. This is Kosuke Ibuki, the director of Mario Kart 7 and 8, the producer of ARMS, and the producer of Mario Kart World. In a pre-launch interview with Rolling Stone, he was asked explicitly if 200cc was going to come to Mario Kart World, to which he said,
"Some players are really happy with the addition of high difficulty modes like this. However, does that mean we're going to consider adding engine sizes that are larger than 150cc to Mario Kart World? I'm afraid I can't say just yet."
That's marketing talk for yes, but I'm not allowed to talk about it yet. This is going to be a great start for free updates, but it won't be the only one we'll see. There's a lot of issues the world still needs to fix, the biggest of which is online races. Online is fun. It gets super chaotic, you get Mario Karted way more often, and there's always that one guy who holds onto the lightning until the last moment. While it is way more fun than playing offline, it's also the source of the biggest controversy in the entire game. Most of the time, you're forced to pick a track that has an intermission road leading to it, meaning you only get to do one lap of the track you picked, and the rest of the race is spent commuting to it. People have been very vocal about wanting the option to simply play 3 laps of the track they've selected, but it's not as simple as completely removing the intermission tracks, because a lot of people really enjoy them. To address this controversy, Nintendo introduced the option to occasionally pick a track with 3 laps, and whenever they come up, yeah, free will just gets thrown out the window. Clearly, it's super popular, and yet it never seems to show up enough. It's leaving many players dissatisfied and discouraging others from even opening the game. Thankfully, I have a solution. Classic mode. This would be a 4th online mode where you can play Mario Kart like the good old days. No commuting, no more of this, and it still keeps the option for normal online races for those who want that. Boom. Solved. Nintendo, make this as a free update, and here's my PayPal. You're welcome. And while we're at it, Why not improve battle mode? No one plays it because it's objectively worse than 8 Deluxes. I don't doubt they did this on purpose, so they can add back modes like Shine Thief and Renegade Roundup and pretend like it's new content. Speaking of 8 Deluxe, there are 2 more free updates we can expect to see. Music mode and new characters. Music mode makes perfect sense for World because it has one of the greatest soundtracks of any game and no official way to listen to them. For new characters, it'd be easy to add Diddy Kong and Funky Kong, but Mario Kart World is known for its weirder characters. We could see Talking Flower from Mario Wonder, Urchin, Ninja, Fuzzy, Thwomp, George Washington. So far we've seen new modes, characters, and fixes to major issues, but there's only so much you can do for free. The exciting stuff happens when Nintendo is able to truly flex their development skills, and that comes with... At the moment, World only has 30 tracks, the lowest the series has had in 22 years, and there's a few that none of us even want to play. Like 8 and Deluxe, I can say with 90% certainty that we'll get new tracks in the coming years. But that's easier said than done. With previous games, it was way simpler to implement since each track was discrete and not connected to other ones in any way. With World, every track is interconnected, so Nintendo will have to find a way to integrate new races into the existing world. However, that's going to come with 3 major hurdles. Number 1, location. Where can these tracks go? They can't be put on the current map since it would interfere with all the other routes. So to avoid this, they may place new tracks around the current island or make use of the verticality of the game. We've already seen with tracks like Question Block Ruins, Rainbow Road, and Airship Fortress that floating racetracks are a possibility, so that's also an option. Number 2, cups. Each cup contains 4 races that are near each other in the world, which means we can't just place new tracks wherever it's convenient. They have to be grouped together. So rather than being scattered around islands or in the sky, perhaps Nintendo adds an entirely new area of land to the existing map. This would actually be quite cool and come with the added benefit of visibly showing that you're getting new content with DLC. Number 3, poor people. Finally, new DLC tracks need to work online, even though free players use it too. And you know what? Let's just give it to them. Free players can play DLC tracks if they play online. You're welcome, you're welcome. Wow, look at all those likes flooding in. Nintendo, hire this guy. Who said that? That's everything we can confidently expect from Mario Kart World from the next year onwards. But what comes after World? What can we expect to see after 5 years' time? And looking even further, what will the next Mario Kart be? Now, we get to the cool stuff. First, let's get one thing out of the way. Mario Kart Double Dash will eventually come to Switch Online. How do I know? Every single Mario Kart from every other platform on Switch Online is on it already. Super Mario Kart, 64, and Super Circuit. It's an easy game to add, holds up really well nowadays, and is more unique than most entries in the series. But what if it's not the last Mario Kart that they add to Switch Online? It's safe to assume that Nintendo might consider putting Wii games on the expansion pack, and perhaps even DS. This would mean we could eventually see Mario Kart DS and Wii playable on the Switch too. Hype responsibly. Now that that's out of the way, we can get to one of the most intriguing questions of the video. You see, Mario Kart has recently become Nintendo's biggest franchise, bigger than Mario's own games. For the company, this means it's become their biggest money-milking machine. And you know how much Nintendo loves money. It would be stupid not to capitalize on this and only make a mainline game once every eon. What Nintendo's going to want to do is create brand new spin-offs. But what kind of spin-off would they even make for Mario Kart? Turns out, Nintendo's tried spin-offs before. They're not as large scale as what we may see in the future, but they can help us dig into their psyche. Mario Kart GPT, GP. Mario Kart GP. The first Mario Kart spin-off was actually super successful, and their longest lasting, being Mario Kart Arcade GP. As the name suggests, it's a series of games you can find in arcades. You use a real steering wheel and pedals, and in the newest one, a VR headset. It was developed by Bandai Namco, and because of this, it's the only game in the series to have third-party characters. It also had Thunderstick and high beams. Mario Kart Tour. This is a spin-off. It is. This mobile game is the most high-effort spin-off on the list, and it's actually quite fun if you're like bored on the train or something. It has 1 trillion different characters, and they all have their own special item. A really cool concept adopted from Double Dash, and one that I think should make a return. More on that later. Home Circuit. A fun toy for kids, but well thought out enough to be considered a true spin-off game. It uses AR and stuff, remote control, honestly, this one won't be useful for the spin-off we're making, so let's move on. Bowser's Challenge. This is an augmented reality experience developed for the sole purpose of being a ride in Super Nintendo World. Genuinely very impressive technology, and the gameplay is sort of team-based, with people on the ride working together to throw shells at enemies. There's some genuinely valuable stuff in these games that we can use to understand what a truly full-fledged spin-off will look like, but we can also look beyond Mario Kart. Splatoon Raiders. Raiders is more important to us than you might think. Like Mario Kart, Splatoon is a fast-paced, multiplayer game that you play a few rounds of, then hop off. Raiders is a spin-off that turns that concept on its head by seemingly being a more serious, single-player, story-focused game, and knowing this is going to prove useful. But not as useful as Wand, the sponsor of this video. Recently I bought Hollow Knight Silksong for the second time on PC. However, I dreaded the thought of having to die a million times just to get back to where I was on the Switch 2. Thankfully, Wand is here to save the day. With just a few clicks, I was able to give myself infinite health and one-hit kills so I could quickly catch up to where I was before. Even better, if there's a boss that's too hard for me, I now have ways to assist myself. All I need to do is press Alt-W and an overlay with a bunch of useful settings come up, such as slowing down the movement speed to help with my timing. Wand works like magic. It automatically detects all of the games that you have installed and supports over 3,500 titles such as Terraria, Cyberpunk, and Elden Ring. Not only can it assist with your gameplay, it can also guide you with interactive maps that can help you find things that you'd otherwise have to Google for. So, if you're like me and want more customizability within your games, download Wand for free using my link wand.gg/endo, or by clicking the link in the description, and start having fun on your own terms. On November 24th to December 1st, Wand is offering 25% off of their annual Pro subscription. This is the lowest price they offer all year, and the best time to unlock the full Wand experience. Use the promo code WANDBF25. Thank you Wand for being today's sponsor. And now, back to the video. Thanks to our little detour, we now have the building blocks for a truly special type of Mario Kart, but we're not just gonna dream up a completely random and useless game for the sake of it, like some YouTubers would. A new spin-off has the opportunity to fix one of the biggest issues that has plagued the series for a very long time. Since the dawn of karts, Mario Kart has been a game that you hop on every now and then to play with other people. And that's it. It focuses so hard on wacky multiplayer fun that it completely ignores the single player side, forcing it to be a game that's only really played when gamers are in the mood to play with others. It lacks any real depth, which is why many people were disappointed with World being the Switch 2's launch title. You can play Breath of the Wild for hours at a time. Mario Kart? Minutes. It's a problem that's especially evident in the latest entry in the series, where you have a massive open world to explore on your own, but nothing to do except collect stickers, do easy challenges, and wallow in self-despair while you listen to a banger soundtrack. So what's the solution? A single-player focused spin-off designed precisely to scratch that itch. Using what we learned from Splatoon Raiders, we know that going in the complete opposite direction of the mainline game works really well. So not only is it single player, we can make it more serious and more story driven. This would manifest itself in an adventure game where you complete levels. To make it interesting, you can select a character of your choice for each level and use unique abilities to defeat enemies and even fight bosses. Thank you Mario Kart Tour. However, in our attempt to undo the single-player multiplayer imbalance, we swung so far in the opposite direction that we've caused the same issue in the opposite way. We still need some multiplayer. This is where the Bowser's Challenge ride comes in. The gameplay is basic, but one thing stands out. Teamwork. Unlike the mainline games where you're all against each other, this time you can team up with friends or randoms to complete levels and beat bosses around the map. Not only does this balance out the gameplay for people who still want multiplayer, it's also completely different to the type that you'd find in the traditional games, thus keeping it unique. I think a more serious game like this would be awesome, and something that I could easily sink hours into. And we'll call it... So that's Mario Kart Adventures, a rational example of a AAA spin-off we should see down the line. Not only is it realistic, it's also cool. But it's not as cool as the final chapter of this video, the part that you and I have been waiting for. The next big Mario Kart. The next entry in the series probably won't be called Mario Kart World 2, but that doesn't mean they're done with the open air concept. Being open world again is cool and all, but it's not new. World gave us a gazillion new characters, major changes to gameplay, and a whole step change in what we expect a Mario Kart game to be. So what could they possibly do next? Luigi Kart. No, enough of that. I will not have that green fuck taint my ideas. We can genuinely answer the question of what's next for Mario Kart, not by looking back at every previous game, but by looking at the jumps between them. Super Mario Kart was the first ever entry in the franchise and set the precedent for everything we know and love about it today. Items, characters, drifting, even multiplayer. But it wasn't true 3D. Everything was flat, and even the item boxes looked like they got run over by a car in a cartoon. It was a massive issue that needed a brand new game to fix it. In comes Mario Kart 64 with true 3D graphics, banger soundtracks, and no more Donkey Kong Jr. He shouldn't be allowed to drive anyway. It completely overhauled the track design to feel like genuinely fun courses with cool shortcuts and weird obstacles. Now, Mario Kart's a mainstay Nintendo title for half their systems. Due to how graphically intensive these games were and how graphically unintensive Nintendo's handhelds were, it was impossible to play Mario Kart on the go. Which brings us to 2001. A lot of things happened in 2001, but most notably, the world saw for the very first time a handheld Mario Kart. Super cool, but not the quantum leap we were expecting after 64. Thanks to the extra horsepower of the GameCube, the IP finally had the chance to stretch its legs and deliver an uncompromised experience. This came in the form of bigger, better tracks, much improved character models, and the first twist in the series. Now, you could play as two characters at once, switch between them at will, and get unique items for each character. Like egg. By this point, though, we were well into the age of the internet, with no way to play Nintendo's most multiplayer-oriented game with others online. Mario Kart DS. Along with online play being one of the big new things with DS, it also came with one of the most highly requested to return modes ever to grace the series, Mission Mode. Finally, you had a good reason to play Mario Kart on your own. Mario Kart DS did a lot, and I really feel like it should get more recognition. But it wasn't perfect, and there are still a lot of refinements needed to get us to where we are today. A lot of which came from Mario Kart Wii. We added tricks which are essential to the game today, as well as motion controls which greatly increased the mass appeal of the game and helped me pass my driving test. This is the Mario Kart of my childhood, and dare I say, one of the best ever made. But like DS, it still wasn't perfect. Going back and playing it, you would notice a pretty big thing that's missing. Every handheld release up to this point still felt like a compromise when compared to their console counterparts. Not this one. 7 was a genuine improvement over Wii, adding gliding and underwater sections, two massive features that dictated the future of Mario Kart. Mario Kart 8. 8 took everything from the previous games and refined it. Better handling, more satisfying tricks, and the craziest track design we had ever seen thanks to the newest twist in the franchise. Anti-gravity. It allowed players to drive on walls and ceilings, and let the developers get really creative by adding more verticality to races. It's also the first to receive free and paid DLC, as we know, but it fell short in one critical area. Battle Mode. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for the Nintendo Switch family of systems, still technically the same game, but made some huge jumps that would become mainstays for the series. It fixed Battle Mode with actual arenas and new modes, double items were added, as well as smart steering for the non-gamers. We were stuck with 8 and Deluxe for 11 years, which made Mario Kart lose its magic. I'd play it with friends and go into this weird autopilot state. I knew the tracks so well that they just weren't fun anymore. The next game really needed a shake-up. Mario Kart World. Every single race tied into one giant world that you can drive around, the biggest character roster, and completely new gameplay styles that would be fundamental to future games? Yeah, I'd call that a shake-up. Most of the jumps in gameplay we just saw have stuck around with every subsequent entry, and World is no different. This large interconnected island isn't a one-game gimmick, it's an inflection point, which has set the stage for every new game going forwards. But World's world is a very rudimentary world. There's really nothing to do except collect a few things and do some P-switch missions. Aside from the occasional UFO abducting you, it's pretty lifeless. Unfortunately, this is by design, because the developers don't see it as an open world. Rather, they see it as a unified area that connects all the tracks together. So basically an open world but boring. I predict that the next game is going to take the open world idea to the next level. We've seen it happen before, with games like 8 improving the gliding and underwater from 7, and Wii further improving the online from DS. This will take the form of a more meaningful, more interesting land to explore. And the best way to achieve that would be to bring back Mission Mode. This guy gets it. You could find shops dotted around the world to unlock new carts, interact with NPCs, and go on actual side quests, rather than doing P-switch missions for literally no reason. On top of that, we could bring back the bosses from DS. I was certain that the Robo DK, Dinosaur, and Wind things were going to be bosses you could fight, but nope. Missed opportunity. Defeating a boss should reward the player, so let's say you get them as playable characters if you beat them, which is a cool way to flex your achievements. Speaking of achievements, we need to keep collectibles, but do them in a more interesting way than just throwing loose change around the map. A much cooler approach would be to get them by doing puzzles, and you should get an actual reward for collecting them all. That's right, I'm bringing back Gold Mario. What happened to him? I hope he's okay. I hope he didn't get into an accident. Each new game added new items, even 8 deluxe. So let's introduce the Double Cherry and Wonder Flower. The Double Cherry can duplicate your character, giving your opponents multiple obstacles while protecting you. The Wonder Flower would cause a random event to occur for all players, like make it rain mushrooms or make everything massive or something. Each game also improves the gameplay over the last in some way, and World has a huge new feature that I believe hasn't reached its full potential yet. Freestyling. Because the world is open, the races are too. You can take a million different routes in a million different ways and get really creative with wall riding, hopping on poles, and doing a ton of tricks, but it's way too limited due to a couple of debilitating issues. Issue number 1 is that doing tricks off things is really stiff. You have no idea how many times I've wanted to trick off a rail and go diagonally forwards a little bit, only to leap sideways and fall and die and question my life's choices. It's an easy fix though, just add more directions that you can input, and holding the trick button could let you go further, like how holding B lets you jump higher in a platformer. Issue number 2 is that while the ability to do multiple tricks is sick, they don't actually do anything. To solve this, I propose a system that rewards you for fitting in as many tricks as possible while in the air. The more tricks you do, the more of a boost you get when you hit the ground. Doing the same ones over and over will do something, but not much. But if you vary every single one, you'll get a way longer mini turbo. This is useful in races of course, but it would also lead to some crazy speedrun strats and time trials, which I would love to see. So, we've got refined mechanics, a massive overhaul to the world, and a couple of new items. This alone is enough to make a brand new game that many people would be happy with, and they're all very reasonable predictions based on fact and logic. However, it's Nintendo, and there will be a new twist for the next game, one that we could never predict, so I'll just leave that to your imagination. Tell me what you think it could be in the comments. The rule so far has been one Mario Kart per console, so I'm 90% certain that this one won't release until after the Switch 2 generation. And I'm 100% certain that it'll cost $100. And there we have it, a load of updates to World, some awesome DLC, a completely new spin-off, history of the entire franchise, and a brand new game worthy of being its successor. This is what's next for Mario Kart. I really hope you enjoyed. There's a lot more content like this to come, so subscribe for that. And check out this video if you want to keep watching something. It's pretty nostalgic. Thanks to my members and patrons for your continued support, it really helps. And thanks for watching.